next question will be answered by Laura. She has 3 minutes. The question will be, taxes. Given the current fiscal problems at the state level, what would you do to avoid the effects of those problems on our local budget now and going forward?
Well, I thank Dan for giving us an update regarding the budget. I think we all have seen that good news is coming our way. With respect to our budgets, I think we've been looking at our budgets for the last 8 years and really noticing that the planning of an annual budget in the last 8 years has been specifically to deal with that current economic climate. And it really hasn't prepared us for the situation that we ran into this year. So one of the things that Eric and I would suggest is really, there are things that come up in town that need to be repaired or replaced. We would recommend having a capital reserve account for the future and putting a certain stipend of money aside every year to build up that account so that we can replace infrastructure in town. That's one of the things that we feel is important. I think the other thing is, of course, we all know we need to attract more businesses into town, and in order to do that, we really feel strongly about the fact that we need to deal with our issues with the wastewater treatment plant or sewer water situation in town. And again, we're going to refer back to that task force. We think that's a very important, integral part of planning. In addition to that, we know we have to bring businesses into town, and we're going to, again, negotiate with businesses to hook into the system that will bring revenue to WPCI. We really feel that that is the stimulus to move forward economically in our town. So we do want to keep taxes low in town. We don't want to see an increase, certainly not a significant increase, so we're happy for today's news. But the only way to increase revenue is to increase your grand list. So we just feel that that's an important piece. I thank you, and thank you.
The situation that we've seen this summer has been historic. When you look at the state budget crisis and the threats that have been continued by the governor all summer long, it really crippled a lot of communities. During my time in office, we dealt with the recession and we had nominal growth, but we're seeing that change. When you talk about bringing business to town and trying to create a climate to do business, we've had more success than administrations for many, many years. Before my election, there was probably 5 new commercial buildings in the prior 30 years. We have 2 new facilities down there, a 3rd one under construction, mobile being rebuilt, and tomorrow morning the developer of Dunkin' Donuts is coming to Town Hall to talk about that. And it's not going to be a perfect meeting because there's some challenges with the sewer. But to think that people can connect the sewers in the Route 40 corridor is a misnomer because there are no sewers there. They end at the condominium project. So again, this is something that you need to consider. When you talk about the situation at the state, our expenses are well managed. Alesia touched on that, and we have the Board of Finance. When you talk about a reserve fund, we have a reserve fund of $3 million. These things are addressed every year by our Board of Finance, and we have capital planning. We have a detailed list available in my office of all the machinery that needs to be replaced in town, and it goes out 5 years. Because of the climate and the cuts that we had to make, we're probably going to have to stretch those things out. But to think that cutting the budget and analyzing expense doesn't happen every year, that's a misnomer. Our Board of Finance is tough, and budget battles are grueling, and tough decisions are made. My experience this summer is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. We have to go to Hartford, we have to fight for our town. We have to fight for our families, our kids, our education, our seniors. I went to Hartford at least a dozen times, and those visits paid off. I went with Don Stein, I went with Mike Chris, I went with Leo Paul, I went with Bob Valentine, I went with anybody who would split a ride with me to go there to fight for you. This is the first time I've really had to do that in many, many years, but that's what the job takes. There is no job description for the first selectman. It's whatever it takes to get the job done, and that's what I did, and it paid benefits. We need to move this town forward, but sometimes those decisions reach beyond our 4 walls, and we do that, and we were successful this year. When you talk about trying to move the town forward and growing this town is growing. We've just given you the specific data, and we will have it. And the development in the industrial park is by a local developer. It is on the internet, and it's full of poor brothers. They're reputable. That will be a tough decision for us to, and that will have to be well studied. And I think we can do that together.